How are you, Paul?
I'm very well. It's good to talk to you. We talked when you were in Melbourne last time, when over at the Warner Music office.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Yeah, that was the night Crosby got a little sick, I think. Not that
Nobody
I
did.
have a memory. What?
Yes. I think this is either my fourth or fifth Graham Nash interview, so I'm very honoured that you've allowed me to have this many over the years.
You're very welcome, Paul. Thank you.
Oh, look, I'm really looking forward to seeing your show down in Australia because we didn't get it last time in Melbourne.
Yeah, but here, I'm coming, and I want my audience to know two things. One, I want to be there. I'm not going to phone it in. I'm not going to do it half-assed. I'm going to be as passionate as I was when I wrote all those songs. And secondly, I want them to enjoy the night completely. And if they want to sing along with me, go right ahead.
We're paying to see you, not to hear them.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I've written songs where, you know, people like to sing.
It is an incredible set list. It literally spans from 1966, your Hollies era, right through to the new album now in 2023, which we'll also talk about because, you know, that's a remarkable record. But
Thank you.
Just to cover off pretty much a 60-year period in an hour and a half, 2 hours, must be incredibly difficult for you to curate.
It's not difficult. It's a dance. You know, what do I feel like they need tonight? What you know? How can I make them feel most comfortable? How can I make them feel as if they can take off their jacket and sit down and have a great couple of hours of peace? There's usually about, let me see, 24, 25 songs in my set. I do, you know, 12, and then I take a short break, and then I come back and do another couple of dozen songs.
And included in that is the new album now. And I'm sure the 29-year-old Graham Nash making songs for beginners would be very proud to hear, you know, how Graham turned out with that record.
I would be, you know. Quite frankly, I'll be honest with you. I'm singing as well as ever, and at 81 years old, yeah, at 81 years old, it's kind of amazing, you know. Every single voice on my record now is me.
Putting that into reverse, you now, when you listen back to an album like Songs for Beginners, that was an incredible album, but a very interesting album because you came in to make your solo record after 7 Hollies albums. There was already the first Crosby, Stills and Nash album and the first Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young album. So your debut album, you also came into the studio, I guess, approaching as a veteran artist at that age.
Almost. I've made a lot of music in my life, and I am very proud to still be a musician, and I'm still proud that I have the passion to do this. I know that I'm coming to the end of my life at some point, you know. I hope it's not during this interview, that's for sure.
If I'm the cause of it, I apologize in advance.
Oh boy, oh boy. Yeah, you'd make headlines over here, Paul. Yeah, I just love what I do, you know, and I'm incredibly proud to be a musician. I think music is a form of communication that is very, very necessary, particularly today. You know, life over here in the United States is kind of chaotic. You know, we have an ex-president, Donald Trump, that is dividing the people. You know, he's narcissistic. I mean, the man is a total mess as a man. And the truth is, nobody thought he would win the presidency the first time he won. And is every chance that he might run again, as he is, and there's every chance that he might win again. And that would be just awful for this country.
Well, that's also a reflection on the people themselves. In a democracy, we get the government that we vote in. And
that's exactly right.
And considering all the evidence that people have and are currently being presented with on a day-by-day basis, that's quite a scary thought that somebody like that could still get past the post.
Yep. And it just tells you, I mean, I'm sure that Republicans have a brain. you have to have a brain to be in politics in this country, but they're using their brain in a completely wrong way. I mean, why they are supporting Trump, why they are coattailing him, why they are praising him all the time is way beyond me. I don't understand it at all.
A wise man said, I always thought we could make it in the end, but my optimism's out of sight.
Out of sight, yes. I'm a songwriter, you know, and I love writing songs. I mean, you know, it's incredibly mysterious. I think a lot of people that don't write music and don't write songs think that it's magic, and in many ways it is.
There's lots of songs by observation over the years, and you'll be telling us a lot of stories when we get to see the shows live in Australia. Going back to that first Crosby, Stills and Nash album, which I consider to be a bit of a hybrid for you as a songwriter, because you've got a song like Marrakesh Express, which I understand was a rejected Hollies song, wasn't it? And then Pre-Down Roads, which is sort of indicating where you were heading as a songwriter in the 70s.
Yeah, there is a tape in the tape vault of EMI down at Abbey Road in London of the Hollies doing a track only of Marrakesh Express. But it really, my vision for the track of Marrakesh Express was to have this incredible train pulsating through the track, you know, which is what Stephen Stills did so brilliantly with his electric guitar overdubs. But the Hollies version leaves a lot to be desired.
Will that ever see the light of day?
Not by my hand.
Because we do see a lot of reissues, and we've just had that brilliant Crosby Stills Nash and Young Deja Vu box set that's come through. The
Yes.
4th CD. I mean, it just gobsmacks me that stuff can be kept in a vault for 50 years, and then finally, when we get to hear it, how brilliant it is.
Normally, you would never hear something like me and Joni playing Our House with 4 hands and screwing up in the middle and starting to laugh. Normally, you would never hear anything like that. But I thought it was such an indication of what a great mood we were in when we were doing Deja Vu. It was very different than the first Crosby, Stills and Nash record, which was sunny and open-aired and wonderful. Deja Vu was a little darker. You know, we'd added Neil to the band, and it was a little darker. But I'm looking right now at the only thing that I have in my apartment of any of my stuff, and it's the 12 CD of Deja Vu.
The track Teach Your Children, one of your tracks that's on the Deja Vu album, but minus Neil Young, that was originally intended for the CSN album as well, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah, but we had such great songs with that first Crosby, Stills and Nash record. And yeah, I hadn't written Our House then, but I had started Teach Your Children. And basically what happened is that, the track that we made for Teach Your Children is very simple. It's me and Stephen on acoustic guitars and Dallas Taylor on tambourine and Stephen on bass. And then when we came to the part where there's supposed to be a solo, Stephen said, I've done a lot of solos on this record. Can't we think of something different? And Crosby said, hey, Garcia's in the next studio with the Dead. And I hear he's been learning how to play pedal steel. I said, well, do me a favor, take the track and go over to the studio and play it for him. And if he likes it, maybe he'll put his pedal steel on. So he loved the song. He brought his pedal steel into our studio, and he played that track. And I said, unbelievable. That's fantastic. And he said, well, I made a couple of mistakes there. Can I do another track? I said, absolutely you can. But you know what? I'm never going to use it. He goes, what? I said, no, your spirit, you're searching your way through a song that you've only heard once was brilliant. So we did take the couple of notes that he didn't like out of his second track, but it's basically his first track.
You have this amazing talent for creating a song just out of a human moment, a song like Our House. Do songs like that, just come from that moment? You can just observe something and picture the song as a result of it, create it that way?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Most of my songs are made up from ordinary moments. Just the song before I go, same thing. Ordinary moment. Me being in a friend's house in Hawaii and him telling me that you're supposed to be some big shot songwriter. I bet you can't write a song just before you go. I said, really? How about this? And I sat down at the piano and I wrote just the song before I go.
Song like Our House, which is, written about the house you lived in with Joni. And Joni wrote Woodstock. The Woodstock performance was your second ever live performance, wasn't it, with the group?
Correct. Yes. The first night was in Chicago at the Auditorium Theatre. And the second night that we'd ever played in front of people was Woodstock.
I've seen you write about how Neil was very nervous performing with you guys because Neil got nervous because he wasn't in control. Is that how the dynamic worked?
Sometimes, yeah. I've had some incredible musical partners in my life. I played with, for years with David Crosby. I played for years with Stephen Stills. I played for years with Neil Young. What a lucky man I am.
How did you leave the relationship with Crosby?
In a good way. He emailed me and he said, I want to talk to you. I need to apologize for some of the things I said about you. And I wrote back and I said, well, you said I was your enemy and la, 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 just silly stuff. And I set up a time to FaceTime so I could look at his face when I'm talking to him. And I set up the time and I waited for the call and I waited and I waited and the call never came. And then 3 days later, David was dead.
Will there be more Stills Nash and Young or Nash and Young or Nash and Stills to come?
That would depend on the music. Right now, all three of us know that without David, it's never going to be the same. And no matter what we did, people would always miss Crosby, of course, like we all do. Who knows? It depends on the songs. I mean, if Neil comes up to me and like he did, way back, when we did that album in Miami with the boys, he says, I've got 3 songs here and I've got 3 of Stephen's. What do you think? And he played me the songs and they were wonderful. And so we wanted to do it. So my point is, if either Neil or Stephen come up with songs that we need to do, we'll try and figure it out. Yeah. And that's all we've ever done. We've always tried to figure it out.
It must be even more difficult for you because you've got the Stills and Young relationship in recording, but you and David would also go off as a pair and record.
Yes, very often. Some of my most cherished musical moments are with David. David and I had a blend, but also not only do we have a musical blend, but we had a blend as friends. It was almost like Laurel and Hardy. We would joke about each other on stage to people, to the audience, and people loved the fact that here was 2 kids having a great time together.
When you do the live shows you've been doing, Stephen's Love the One You're With, Stills Young, Long May You Run, and Stills, I think, Find the Cost of Freedom. Why are they part of a Graham Nash set list?
Because they're beautiful songs.
Which they are.
I also do 4 and 20. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful, beautiful song. And so is Long May You Run. And so is Love the One You're With. Yeah. I mean, I even do Country Girl by Neil, and I do A Case of You by Joni, because they're beautiful songs and I want to sing them, so I will.
So there's also the Hollies era, and that was an interesting songwriting era for you as well. As a team, you, Alan Clark and Tony Hicks, you came up with a lot of hit songs, Carrie Ann on a Carousel, Stop, 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 King Midas in Reverse. That was a pretty good trio of songwriters. Were you all in the same room creating those songs?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We spent a lot of time together on the road, in vans, in hotel rooms, in dressing rooms, and we would just we'd always be having a guitar and playing and writing songs. So me and Alan and Tony had a good time writing songs, and we did in fact write several hits.
What about your love of the music of Buddy Holly? You've been covering every day in some of the sets, but on the new album now, you do a song called Buddy's Back, which when I listen to, it could be the Crickets backing you.
Almost. Yeah, I wanted it to sound like Buddy. We were the Hollies. Of course, we loved Buddy Holly. You know, he was one of us. He wore a suit and tie. He had glasses. He wasn't shaking his ass like Elvis. You know, he was one of us, and it was incredibly sad when he was killed in that plane crash. I remember distinctly me and Alan Clark standing on the street in our small town of Salford, which is just outside of Manchester. And crying our eyes out because we had lost a friend. And I wanted people to know how we started. And we started by pretending to be them and looking in a mirror and trying to be the Everly Brothers and trying to be Buddy Holly. And then we would forget it all and bring our music out the way we wanted it out. And yeah, Buddy's back. Yes, he is.
It's a great song. Let's hope we get to hear that one when you get to Australia as well.
I think you will.
Yeah. It's an incredibly prolific period from March 1970 to February 1972. March 1970, Deja Vu. September 1970, After the Gold Rush. November 1970, Stephen Stills. February 71, If I Could Only Remember My Name. 28th of May, 71, Songs for Beginners. 2nd of June, 71, Stills 2. February 72, Harvest. It's gobsmacking. That is 23 months and still the music of our lives.
I know. It's kind of wild, isn't it? Like I said, Paul, I'm a lucky man.
You certainly are. And we're very lucky to be able to get to hear the songs of Graham Nash. As you say, 81 years old. Are you calling this the last time?
Not at all.
That's
no way. I've got new songs.
That's the answer we want to hear, Graham.
You got it. Thank you, Paul.
It's a pleasure to talk to you, and thank you for all the times we've got to talk over the years.
You're very welcome, man. Bye-bye.